ladies and gentlemen, now hosting the RizzoCast. Put your hands together for Steven Risotto.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome. My name is Steven Risotto. I used to cover the San Francisco Giants for SF Bay, and I'm currently a producer for 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. I'm also the host of RizzoCast, a podcast that features current and former big league players, coaches, fans, media, and others who are regarded as some of the brightest minds around the game of baseball. Today's guest is Aaron Rouselle, a junior college baseball player for Delaware County Community College. But get this, he is not your normal JUCO ball player. He's doing something that he never thought he'd be able to do. He's 40 years old. He's a two-time liver transplant recipient, and he's a cancer survivor. I can't wait for you guys to hear this story. We talk about what he's about to embark on, what he's looking forward to most, being a mentor, silencing the haters, his health journey, beating cancer, finding healing, so much more. This is episode number 180, and this is maybe one of the most inspirational episodes that I've been a part of RizzoCast, and let's get started.
All right, we are back on RizzoCast with Aaron Rouselle, and Aaron is nice enough to take some time out of his very busy day and say hello. Aaron, thanks for coming on the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It truly means a lot that you're making time for me. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely, and it's really great to connect, and I see cool stories on social media all the time, and I'm sure a lot of people listening or watching also, find a lot of cool stories. And one of the ones that I saw on my timeline a few weeks ago was your story, and I'm going to read the tweet that you have pinned to your profile. It says, "I'm excited to share that I passed my fall classes, celebrated my 40th birthday yesterday, and all my paperwork is in to be eligible to play JUCO baseball. It's incredible to think that just 10 years ago I started playing in an over 30 league after a lifelong journey with basketball. I've got nothing left to prove, but my love for baseball and being a teammate drives me to keep playing. This sport isn't just a game for me. It helps me stay focused on my academics as I pursue another degree in psychology and philosophy. At the end of this journey, I know I'll be a better person, not just for myself, but for anyone who believes in me and supports my ideas. This isn't just for me. It's for all of you who have been part of my journey. Here's to new beginnings, teamwork, and the pursuit of knowledge. Let's go." So, Aaron, first of all, this is an incredible story just on that front of it. Tell the people a little bit about your story and kind of how everything came about with this opportunity for you.
So I have a baseball facility here in Maryland called Pops Culture, and through that, I'm able to mentor a lot of kids from college, high school, middle school, anyone willing to come through my doors and listen to me, I mentor. So a kid who comes in was playing for a coach who I knew, Coach Ryan Hunter up at Delaware County Community College. And just through talks with Ryan, and I said it to him a year ago, just joking around, because I have eligibility. I love baseball. And I love challenging myself. So I said to Ryan, I was like, "Hey man, what do you think about me, enrolling in classes and come playing ball for you?" He's like, "Hey, G, you want to do it? I'll do it." He's like, I need guys who really want it." So I thought about it for a while, and I thought, I'm turning 40 this year. It's also going to be my 10-year anniversary since cancer and my first liver transplant. I went into that year in the best shape of my life, turning 30, because that was my goal, to be the best shape of my life at 30. And, thankfully, because I needed to be in the best shape of my life for what I was about to go through. But then I was like, let's do the same thing at 40. Let's see if I can get to my best at 40 and go compete with some kids in college baseball. So, Ryan Hunter gave me a chance. And, here we are, 14 days away from starting practice.
Okay. Doesn't get much better than that. No, that's really awesome. We'll get to the what you had to go through in just a bit, but you've been coaching in the area, I saw for probably over a decade, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it might be, softball, baseball, basketball. So you've kind of been involved. But why now? Like, why is this the time to play baseball again? You mentioned you feel like, you could be in the best shape of your life at 40 years old. Why the round numbers? 30 years old, 40 years old. Is there something about those round numbers? Why now?
I think it's mostly because, when you're in your 20s, you dread turning 30. When you're in your 30s, you dread turning 40. Um, I don't. I look forward to it. Because I just look at it as another challenge. I'm a big believer in your age is your mindset. And a neighbor of mine, he told me when I first moved in here, he said, it was right after my first transplant. He said, if you rest, you rust. Um, I don't want. So, and like the timing of it's kind of perfect. My daughter just started college. My son's in eighth grade. So he's getting ready to go into high school ball, and like, so it's going to get very time consuming between, his athletics and, my daughter going through school. So this is essentially my last year to let me be my main focus athletically, which is kind of strange to say at 40 because that window should have closed. But I've just been fortunate. I have a very supportive family who, you know, thinks I'm crazy, but supports my crazy. So it's just like, why not? I'm unable to work full time because of the transplants and stuff. So like, if I push too hard, I'll land myself in the hospital for a week, which happened, at Christmas time. So, I'm disabled, but I'm not handicapped. So I do what I can. I push myself. Coach Hunter's very aware of my situation. The medical staff at the colleges, my medical doctors are very aware of my situation. So it's just like, why not? Like, let's see what you can do. And if it works, it works. But it's, I don't believe in living with regret, so I'm gonna do it.
Awesome. That's really awesome. And obviously, at 40 years old, there's, probably not a big chance to get drafted or play in the big leagues. If that happens, I mean, man, that's icing that's icing on the cake. But is there anything that you're looking forward to most as you begin this journey? Is there anything that sticks out that you kind of have circled on your to-do list, circled in your head that you've thought about? What is, what I guess what is the thing that you're looking forward to most as this season begins in JUCO ball?
I really enjoy being a teammate. What I enjoy the most now is like the grind of it. Like today, first week. So three of my teammates came to my facility and I trained with them. And then the kids get out of school, so I had a softball group of 15 girls, trained with them, and then I had a group of 10 high school boys come in and got to train with them. And it's almost like I get to really lead by example, but it's not just me saying them, hey, back in my day I did this or I did that. It's like I'm in there with it. Like I'm in the mud, struggling, getting dirty with them. Um, and I love being able to show them like just what you can do if you just put your mind to it. Like your circumstances don't have to dictate your outcome if you're willing to put in the work. And I have expectations of myself to perform. Like I'm not just trying to be on the team. Like my goal is to make the all academic regional team, which means I'm gonna have to perform on the field and in the classroom. And that's what I like. A big part of this is just inspire these kids to just try. They're under so much pressure, so it kind of holds them back from trying their best. But they see me fail and they see me get up and try again. And it's happened multiple times. I mean, in the past year alone, I've gone, I've been in the hospital. I go from 185 pounds to 160 pounds. I get pneumonia all the time. I deal with a lot of setbacks, but it never stops me. It may slow me, but I will not stop. And I just want these kids to understand that, like, whatever your dream is, like, just go for it. Like, don't let any excuse get in your way. It can be done. Not everyone's path is going to be easy, but like you kind of learn to love the struggle and like so I get them to try to really focus on embracing the struggle. Like no more excuses or saying, it is like this happened or this happened. Like life is going to always happen, but you still need to find a way.
Embrace the struggle. I like that. And a lot could be said about, what you're saying right now about being a good teammate. And a lot of the guys you're going to be playing with have a different outlook on life. They haven't been through the things that you've been through or even half of that. How do you plan on being that leader with some of the guys that, you've come in contact with already that you mentioned you're training at? How do you kind of, be that leader to them?
It was kind of awkward at first because you got to try to fill them out and see how they are. And like to them, like they were just like kind of like, who's this old dude like taking a spot? Like, why is he here? But then they saw I was capable. They saw that I was trying and like pushing myself. And I didn't ask for any favors or anything. I was willing to do the work. So once they saw me struggle with them, I kind of like they started looking at me and like I I really like to share my thoughts and philosophies, and if I can help a kid, I'm always going to help them. And they're not always receptive, but it's not going to stop me from trying. And because of that, a lot of them have really gravitated towards me. During the fall season, I played in the first game. I actually got my first collegiate hit. Nice little line drive over second base. Not trying to do too much, just trying to move a runner. I was able to get on, and they went crazy for me. It was just incredible. But then I got pneumonia, and I missed the rest of the fall season. And they were legitimately like upset, asking about me often. Like, and coach was like, "Oh, like Aaron, you need, like, can you please show up to this? Like, they miss you. They want to know where you are." So I went in. I had to go in and do some paperwork, and the team was there. And you would have thought Michael Jordan walked through the doors because I was met with so much praise. And that's a big part of life of what I've been missing as a lifelong athlete. Like you don't really fiend for the competition. You fiend for the camaraderie. Um, and it really made me see like to them, I'm not when they call me Unc, I'm not just being called Unc because it's funny because I'm old. They really look at me as like Uncle Aaron. And that's really all I ask for because teammates become family. And I tell them all often, like, listen, like I'm not gonna be your friend 20 years older than you. We have nothing in common besides baseball. But I will always look out for you. And a couple of them actually failed off, unfortunately. And they told me, and it was kind of tough. I was like, listen, man, like no matter where this life takes you, just know like you have my number. If I can help you in any way, I'm here. It's a lot bigger than baseball for me. Baseball is just a way to connect with people that have a common interest. But it's really about just life and mentoring these kids and showing them like what they're capable of because I truly believe that so many young people lack confidence, and confidence is one of the most powerful things in this world. And even if you look at it from a baseball standpoint, how many crappy swings have you seen make contact because they're confident? To me, hitting is confidence, and life is confidence, and that just to really teach them to just like to show like stand on your own 2 feet, develop some principles, and get people to like you, not because of what you do for them, but for who you are. It's more about respect.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, you're 20 years older than a lot of them and there might be not anything in common. Is there anything in common though? Like are you able to kind of keep up with, the way they talk, the different language that they use? 'Cause, me, someone in my early 20s, I mean, there's times where I have a hard time connecting with like teenagers. I mean, there's different things change so quickly in society, and it's like the words that they use and everything, and I don't know. Is there anything in common? Like, do you connect well with them
So
in terms of like you're just shooting the shit or whatever? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
thankfully, I still play quite a bit of MLB The Show and Call of Duty, so that helps.
There we go. There we go.
Um, so that certainly helps. And I'm just around kids a lot from what I do with my facility. And having my own kids, even a 19-year-old daughter who speaks 50 different languages that are really just gibberish, but you got to kind of filter through it. And then my son who's 14, so I hear things and you can kind of piece things together, but sometimes I'll just look at them like, bro, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, what does that even mean? Because like they just make like Riz and all these other stuff. I'm like, what? But it's kind of just fun because I like after going through what I went through, like my pride and ego and shame doesn't really exist. So if I don't know anything, I'm not gonna pretend I know. I'll straight up say, yo, bro, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it makes it like so they understand and then they kind of look at it as a fun way to like break it down to show this old man what they're even talking about. And then I'm like, oh, and then like back in my day, this is how we said it. Like, oh, that sounds dumb to us. I'm like, yeah, but it also dumb to me. So it's fun when the worlds collide and it's just like but it's not a violent collision. It's more so like they're really understanding of me, I'm really understanding of them, and we're really kind of just like growing together, even though we're at different parts of our journey. At the end of the day, it's just like it's all just love and positivity. It's just like we find ways to make light of the situation. But I know a little bit of the lingo. I wouldn't say I'm fluent in teenager. I can understand it. I can't always talk it.
Yeah, you got the front row seat to the Duolingo here with your version of Duolingo here with the JUCO baseball. So that should be a lot of fun. And
Yeah, maybe I'll write a book on that, on how to speak teenager.
hey, maybe you could write a book on this whole thing. That would be pretty cool. And also like, are you in tune with the coaches? Like, obviously you've worked it out with the coaches. They're giving you an opportunity to play, be a part of this team. Have you had the conversation with them about maybe kind of doing a lot of coaching as well? Because obviously you have coaching experience too with coaching high school players and youth players. Um, what is that kind of like in terms of the communication with the players and with the coaches? Are you going to kind of be a liaison? What is the conversation happening there?
It's an odd dynamic, because I'm a player first, and I have
Yep.
to remember that. And I don't want any special treatment.
And you have to remember it's for you, right? So there's that balance.
Right. Yeah. It's a delicate balance, but I think it's more so just my personality is I think I have a lot of leadership skills. So I have no problem holding a teammate accountable, which I think is a big part of sports that's missing today, is there's no in-house accountability. They wait for the coach to tell them what to do. But I can't sit there idle and watch kids do things that I know is wrong. So I'll get on them. Like I had an instance at my facility 2 nights ago. Our pitcher from my college team was there, and he was supposed to be working, and he had a bunch of high school kids there, kind of watching him work, and like he just kept talking, and I just said to him, like, listen, man, like stop talking and do the work. I was like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you're in college and these kids see you that they don't know anything about you besides you being a college baseball player. And I was like, for lack of better terms, you look like a moron. I was because you have done nothing for 2 hours but talk and throw a football into a nine pocket. And I was like, if one of these kids took a football and threw it in one of my nine pockets, I'm gonna go ahead and rip them a new one, and they're gonna like it's not gonna be pretty. But I just wanted to observe and watch it because you're a pitcher, and to me, you're disrespecting a nine pocket, a tool designed to help you as a pitcher. So I was like, you talk all this stuff about where you want to go, but your actions do not match your words. And I was like, and if that's the type of player you're gonna be, you need to get away from me because I'm not here for it. And so then, that happens, and he's really receptive of it, which is surprising because most kids don't want to hear that, but they respect me enough to know. And I try to make sure they know it's coming from a good place because he's 20 years old and he can go wherever he wants to, but you can't talk your way to the big leagues. Like you got to put in the work. And then I let coach know, and I was like, listen, I told him the kids who come down because like he likes to know who's putting in the work. And I told him what happened, and I was just like, listen, like I really let into Hunter only because I want to help him get better. He's like, man, thank you for doing that. He's like, I've been trying to get through this kid and he needs to hear it from other sources. So I've kind of am a liaison, but it's not, there's no like written rule to it. The coach didn't ask me to do it. It's kind of just who I am. Like, even though I'm a player for DCC, I can't turn that coach father figure off. Like, essentially, my pop's culture. You know what I mean? That's who I am to my core. My pop's culture. And to me, that's just a play on father figure. And dads aren't always nice, but we always try to guide in a way that they're going to help these kids grow, and that's all I want. Like, I want to see them all fly, like, but I'm not for the nonsense. Like, put in the work. Like, don't let me outwork you. And that day, I was outworking them, and so I let them hear about it.
Yeah, and that kid's gonna remember that, especially, hopefully it got through to him. And Aaron, first thing I thought when I saw your tweet and I saw the tweet pop up on my timeline is there's going to be critics, and if there probably has been critics already.
Yeah,
I mean,
quite a few.
yeah, they've probably been there already. I mean, all I have to do is scroll down the tweet, the replies to the tweet, and I'll probably see him. You've probably seen him. And I think you made a post even acknowledging that there are critics about this, and there's going to be people who don't take you seriously and who might think that you're trying to take a spot from a more deserving kid. What would you say to some of that criticism and the people saying that? How would you respond?
I really tend not to. I can't expect anyone to understand my why, and I don't expect me and anyone else. But I do say this to some of them. I'm a 40-year-old man who's had two liver transplants and has beaten cancer. I have neuropathy in my left leg, so I can barely hold myself up half the time. If your kid can outwork me to play college baseball, your kid probably doesn't deserve that spot. And I think that's a harsh reality of the situation is too many kids bounce from any time. They don't compete in practice anymore. But that's what happens in college. You have to compete for every spot you have. So I think all the parents are mostly the ones who are coming at me. I think it's because they have a kid who just didn't live up to their expectation. And like, that's not my problem. Um, the best play. And if you're the best at 40 and you have the ability, and the college landscape's changing a little bit anyway. So they're going to be competing against 26-year-olds. And the difference between an 18 and 26-year-old is way more, like a 26-year-old is like, that's peak alpha male almost, like physically anyway. Mentally, they're still a little lacking, but I'm more so. I have the mental side, but my physical side is faded severely. So if you can't outwork me, do you think a college coach is going to want you anyway? So like, don't project your insecurities onto me. Just get better.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And how would you summarize your game? Like, let's talk about Aaron Rouselle. Like, give me a scouting report on you. What do you do well? What do you feel like? Not to give away a few of your secrets to maybe opposition listening. I don't know if the opposition's listening, but what would you say if you were like a scout looking at your game? What would be the scouting report on Aaron Rouselle?
Offensively, I'm not going to hit the ball far or very hard. I think my exit velo is usually around like 75 and 80. Um, but I'm very situational. I look to do what's best for my team. So if you're going to play against me, I would say play the situation as if they're just trying to make something happen. I'm not looking to hit a home run. I look to drive the ball over second base heads 90% of the time. If there's a runner on second or third and there's less than two outs, I'm going to try to hit the ball somewhere on the right side, usually on the ground pretty slowly, almost like a slap bunt in a way, because I'm just trying to get that runner closer to home or at home. But I'm going to hump my butt down that line too to apply pressure to where they got to make a decision. I'm not slow, but I'm not fast, but I'm going to give it all I got. So offensively, it's more so like know the situation and know I'm going to do what is probably best for a hitter in that situation to make something happen. Like bases loaded. I'm probably just gonna like depending on the outs, I'm gonna be looking to probably drive the ball to the outfield, obviously. I'm not looking to strike out. But I'm also not looking to hit like into a double play at all or put any situation to make, where they can get two outs. So I'm gonna try to elevate. Defensively, I got a good arm. My arm's pretty strong because I played basketball. So I didn't throw a lot. So I don't have any arm pain. I play third base for the most part. I think I'm best in the outfield, but I can't run like I used to. Your best bet if you're good, like if you bunt, sometimes when I go to sprint and if I plant on my left leg, it's not strong enough to hold me up all the time. So I may fall over. So I would say if you see me at third and you got a situation to bunt, I would probably take that. I'm gonna do everything I can to make the play. There's been times where I've made the play as I'm falling on the ground and I'm able to make the throw. I train in a way where I work on making really awkward throws by not having that strong left leg. So I'm prepared for it, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. Like sometimes I just fall and like it is what it is. So defensively, I'd look to get me moving. Because if you make me move, it increases the likelihood I'm going to fall. If you hit it right at me, I'm probably going to make the play. I got a pretty good glove for the most part. I'm pretty good side to side. It's that hard sprint forward where I have to really push off my left leg that causes issue. I move really well backwards. I think that's from just basketball and defense. I played defensive back a lot, so I got pretty good hips moving backwards. But I'm not a power hitter. I'm hoping to put on some size because I mean I'm 6'4", so I look the part, but I'm not ever really looking to drive the ball deep. I'm looking to just move runners and make things happen.
Gotcha. And I do want to get into kind of, what happened with your health situation and you had an emergency liver transplant in 2015. You mentioned the cancer as well. Guide me through what kind of happened in your life from that period and everything that kind of transpired and the way it kind of happened and it originated.
All right, so 2015, I just turned 30, was in the best shape of my life. I actually played in a pro-am basketball league, averaged 20 and 20, like I was really feeling myself. Had a hernia. I went to get the hernia repaired, but it actually turned out I got sick too, so I had to get my gallbladder removed right when I had to get my hernia repaired. When they did that surgery, they noticed swollen lymph nodes. So they did a little bit more research. They found penile cancer, which is a very rare cancer in America. Um, my doctor said he's done the surgery that he did on me on three people under the age of 40, the first two committing suicide. So he said, Aaron, make sure you're not the third one. And thankfully, my liver failed right after that, so I never really had to deal with the heartache of the penile cancer. Like pretty much I lost a good part of my unit, if that makes sense. And at 30 years old, you can imagine, I mean, you're a young male, like you know how much everything is a penis slinging contest with men. Like we're always bragging about how what we got. I lost the majority of that. So that could really cause some mental issues and some depression. But I found out I was cancer free on September 11th of 2015. I ended up getting pretty sick that weekend, and by September 15th, I had an emergency liver transplant. I got septic in the hospital, and things got bad to worse. They essentially didn't think I'd make it. They didn't even want to do the surgery because of cancer, but my urologist really went to bat for me. But they ended up doing it. They have there's five of these machines at the time in America. They have a Mars machine which does your liver function. They removed the guy off that machine who was an addict, so he passed. So I could be put on that machine, so I could, buy me some time. And then there's a guy who was on life support at the hospital who was a close enough match to my liver. He wasn't going to make it, but he was a registered donor, so they went and talked to his family. They said, "Listen, if we let your son pass, we can save a kid upstairs." They thought about it for a while, decided to do it. They had to hurry up their grieving process for me. They end up doing the transplant. The surgery goes well, and they're in the. I had the audio for this actually. They're in the recovery room, talking to my family. They said, "Listen, like it's in. It's probably not going to work. He's probably never going to wake up, but it's in. He's in better shape, but he's still in really really bad shape." Um, but my brain never stopped. I started, responding a little more. I was able to squeeze, couldn't talk, and I was at this time I went from 220 pounds to 120 pounds in a matter of months almost. I was sick as they come, but my brain never stopped working. So I was able to recover. I was in the hospital for a while. They thought I'd have to go to rehab, but I was like, I'm not going to go to rehab. Tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it. They said you need to be able to go up four stairs and walk the hospital floor. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I was able to like just yeah, but it just shows the power of the mind. I walked the hospital floor, did the stairs, was able to go home, and just started my recovery. But that's where like I really started to struggle with depression and anxiety because I was at the top of my game and completely had the rug reached out from under me, and I was severely depressed. Didn't know who I was without sports really. I'm just lost. Spent the next few years kind of just like I went to the transplant games, did well. Still like got back to me, like I was dunking again. I was back to playing sports. I played baseball more because it's just easier on my body. But I really just struggled from 2015 to 2018 with a lot of mental um issues with anxiety and depression. Ended up costing me like we got engaged, cost me my fiance at the time, which we got back together and we were able to work through that. But it was a lot in such a short amount of time. And the hardest part of it all is there's no why. They don't know why my liver failed. They don't know why I got the most rare cancer to get for a 30-year-old male. Like it doesn't happen. And then the weight of knowing that like everyone else committed suicide. And I got a bunch of friends who are always just bragging about their big trucks and big everything. And I'm just sitting here like, well, I can't use like in a public bathroom. I now have to sit to pee because I don't have what it takes to stand up really without making a mess. So like it was a lot on my mind, but I really learned it was a lot of it was out of my control. And I think once I really started coming face with that, I really started like unpacking a lot of things about me, which really helped me as a person grow. But I mean, it took a lot to get there.
Hmm. Did you ever go through a period, because you mentioned there's no why to any of this. Like nobody knows, the doctors don't know why the liver went out or, why the cancer came. But did you ever go through a phase of like, why me? Did you ever, because you mentioned you still had your mind, but did you ever go through that specific phase of why me?
Oh, absolutely. Quite a bit actually. Laying in the hospital bed, I mean, I cried all the time to my therapist. And like, it's not me. This isn't me. I'm an athlete. And like, I remember sitting up and I look at my leg, and it might have been 3 inches wide. And I'm coming from like I owned a CrossFit gym at one point. Like, I was in pretty good shape. Um, and I was like, this isn't me. Like, why is this happening to me? Like, what did I do to deserve this? But then I just started realizing, I really found God, really, like my faith. It wasn't more so, why me? It became more of a try me. Like I had to go, the way I explain it to these kids is, and these people willing to listen to me is like, I had to go through these fires. Everything always came easy to me. I was pretty arrogant. I thought I was confident, but I mean, we are who we are. I was ego driven. Um, but then I realized how powerless I am and how quickly everything that I had could be snatched from me. But the only thing that they couldn't take from me was my mind. And that really got me in tune with my faith and everything. And now I just look at it as I had to go through everything I went through because God had to make sure I was going to be strong enough for what he needed me to do. And that really came to light at my second transplant. That's when things got like weird, but weird in the most beautiful way possible.
Hmm. And how did that second transplant originate as well?
So so essentially with my first liver, they said it's going to get you about 5 years. It's not a perfect match, but it's good enough to buy you some time. And it almost lasted 5 years to the month. I had my second transplant in July of 2020 during the peak of COVID. So I had to go to the hospital on my own, but I didn't really realize how sick I was. I was still coaching baseball, but every 5 to 6 steps I'm throwing up. I walked with a cane. My I was yellow from jaundice. My liver was failing. If I did something one day, I was doing nothing the next. I couldn't go up the stairs in my house. I was weak, but these kids gave me so much life. So I was going to their games and trying to just push through it all. I remember like just walking and throwing up and then walking and throwing up, but I had to be at these games for these kids. So we had a tournament on a Saturday. Team got smoked. We played bad, but I was there and I was trying to help, but I could barely talk. I could barely walk. Sunday, I wanted to go to the game so bad, but I just couldn't get moving. So my son and my girlfriend, Allie, left to go to the games, and I'm laying on the couch, barely conscious. I'm really like very, very close to death. And I get the call. I don't answer my phone. I get another call. I don't answer my phone. Allie, they finally call Allie. They have a liver for me. They have a match. So they finally get people to get me woken up. Allie's mom, who passed from liver failure, ironically, waiting for a liver. She passed in August of 2024, waiting for a liver. Drove me to the hospital. I'm completely delusional, hallucinating. Nothing seems real. I was really going through it. She pushes me into that hospital. They won't let her in because of COVID. And they all thought that was the last time they see Aaron. Um, Thankfully, the surgery went well. I kind of lost my mind a bit from being alone in the trauma of the surgery and just the poisoning from the toxins in my body. But I truly believe I went to heaven. I was sitting on a rock with who I perceived to be God and my niece who passed at 16. And my sister was in a pretty dark place. And my niece said to me, Uncle Aaron, I'm good. I'm happy here. But the only thing that upsets me is the way my mom's living her life. Can you please call her? I was like, yeah, absolutely, Jazzy. Like, I'll call her. And then God says to me, Aaron, you can come home now. You've lived a good life. You've lived a nice life. Like you've done good. You can come home now, but I'm not done with you yet. So we talk for a little bit longer, and I say, you know what, I want to go back. And I instantly wake up from this coma. I call my sister, and I'm like freaking out. My sister, who has no faith at the time, because she lost her daughter for no reason. She was pretty upset. I said, listen, Sissy, I saw Jazzy. I saw Jazzy. She's good. She's happy. She's 23 now. She just wants you to live a better life. Like start doing things. Like live your life in a more positive way. Like everything's gonna be okay. And my sister's crying. It's super. And I mean, her quality of life has improved since then. But then I started writing. I had the idea for my nonprofit, Pops Culture. Um, and I perceived that as like that was God's purpose for me. I look at it as He's shown me the way my entire life, but I ignored him. He gave me that first transplant as like a wake up call. I ignored him. So he's like, okay, like Aaron obviously isn't going to answer the phone. Let me go ahead and get him in my office. So he literally sat me down and said, Aaron, focus here. I have a purpose for you. It's to help kids. Stop living for yourself and serve others. Serve your community. And that's what I've been doing ever since. I lived my life in a way where the money and everything that I had couldn't save me, but what saved me was the relationships. Those kids, that I was coaching at the time that were, 9U, 10U, that gave me a reason to get out of bed when I could barely walk or barely move and couldn't talk. And it just really showed me how important like relationships are and how you treat people. I mean, at the same time, how you love yourself. It's just like, like I haven't been depressed, no more anxiety, because I realized like how powerless I am, but at the same time, how powerful I can be. And it comes from just living for others. I think we're here to serve others and we get easily distracted from things, but God gave me my purpose, and I look at it as like I walked through fire, and then I got to come back, and through on my journey back, I was able to place stepping stones. So now my missteps have become stepping stones for other people, so they don't have to go through the fire anymore. And I think that's my purpose, is to just help guide anyone who's willing to listen to me, whether it's a kid or an adult. I will do anything in my power to just help someone better understand themselves and their situations and just help them grow as people. I think that's my purpose, is just
Mhm.
help others.
In that purpose of helping others, do you think that you would have like maybe found that if any of this didn't happen, if any of your health struggles didn't happen, like where do you think you would be?
I think I'd be working a job just like everyone else in my life that they don't necessarily love, but they do it because it makes ends meet. Um, and I look back and I don't think I'd have the quality of life that I have. I think I would still be that little arrogant, all about me guy. Like this stuff made me such a more compassionate, kind, vulnerable parent, significant other, son, brother. I mean, I'm not nice by any stretch of the imagination. I am not a nice person, but I am caring. I am compassionate. I am very, very loving. Love is literally my everything. But love can be brutal because you have to tell people things they don't want to hear. Um, and there's times where I will be wrong, but I try to make sure everyone knows that I'm coming from a place of care. And when I am wrong, I own it. I don't duck any accountability. I make mistakes daily. I fall short of God's grace daily, but I'm trying my best to be better, not just for myself, but just for everyone that I can help.
Well, you've been nice to me, Aaron.
I try, and it's like because to me, like I can't put into words how important this is to me because you've given me a platform to share my story. And it's I think that's God's point is he has me send these tweets or say these things that I do and be so vulnerable because I think my story is so unique. But it's not for sympathy. It's only to share love and appreciation and like the willingness to dream and not just dream in a sense of you're asleep, like to go after it. There's a lot of people my age that are just living in a life where they're just not happy, or just people in general. Like we feel like we have to do so much. We're under so much pressure from society, but like it's not real. We do what we can with what we have, and we make the best of it. And like one of our mantras at Pops is, 1% better every day, and that could be as simple as you could fail 24, 23 hours of your day could be a complete wash and a waste. But if you just do one thing that makes you a little bit better or a little bit closer to your goals, that's what you need to fixate your mind on. Like, stop focusing so much on the negative and find the positive. Like, I had a talk with a group of girls today because our world is very tough on young women, and they're always saying, I suck, I suck, I can't do this, I suck. And I was like, ladies, you don't suck. You just aren't experienced yet. You can't expect to be good at something the first time you do it. And I say, when you were a baby, how many times did you fall before you learned how to walk? I was like, this softball is just no different. If you really care about it, if you really want to get good, you don't suck. You're just not putting the practice and the time into it. So now you have to make a decision. Do you want to be good or do you want to be great? And that's entirely up to you. I truly believe if you want to be great at something, you need to dedicate time from it, become sacrifices. You are what you put your passion towards and what you put your dedication to your time in. And it's like, so you don't suck. You're just not as dedicated as you need to be good. And then once you put that in a perspective they can understand, then they have a choice. Do you put in the work or you just stop? Because I'm not here to listen to anyone complain or whine about their problems. Um, because I'm not going to do it. And I expect like we all have problems in the harsh reality of this world. Like nobody really cares. But if you grab yourself by your bootstraps, you start working towards it and stop, work towards a solution, people will care and they're going to help you. But if you're going to just sit there and whine and complain, you're going to be doing it by yourself. So I just try to get these kids to really buy into the fact, like, just make an effort. Like, effort goes a long way, and effort can take you places, but you got to be willing to try.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And what was the recovery process like in gaining enough strength to be an athlete again? Like you're an athlete again and you've gone through, these horrific events and cancer and the two liver transplants. How has that been gaining the strength back and trying to get back?
Eat everything. Eat everything. I eat a lot. Not nearly as much as I should. I'm still like I got pretty sick during Christmas. I had a stomach bug, and a 24-hour stomach bug usually lasts about a week for me. So I went 8 days without eating. I went from 185 to about 160 over Christmas break. I missed all the holiday festivities. I just stayed home. But so what I focus on now is not so much like I try to just be really, really real with myself and just small. Like I really focus on flexibility, mobility, um, eating, and I'm not trying to bench press, 300 pounds again. I'm not trying to be super strong. I really focus on being very functional. Um, and understanding that I may never be that 220 pound guy with the six pack. I might just always be, I think maybe where I need to be is, 175, 185, but healthy. And then, so that's really where my focus is now. It's not necessarily the numbers, it's more so the feel. Like, how do I feel after a double header? How long does it take me to recover now? So I spend more time focusing on the recovery aspect of fitness, and then I do like the strength gains. Like what I do the most of is more so um, my mind. I work my mind essentially is my most important muscle. So I spend a lot of time working on the mental side of things and just being more resilient. So that way, every time I do have a setback, I can get back on my feet quicker because I don't spend a lot of time whining and complaining. I've learned to like, I step out of my comfort zone, but I also know I have to spend some time in my comfort zone. I can't live out there because after my first transplant, I pushed myself to the brink a lot. And I spent after from 2016 to 20, really almost 2020, I didn't go a month without spending at least 3 days in the hospital because I was just like, I wasn't mentally strong enough to know that I couldn't just go. So the way I explain it now is, and this is relates to baseball too, with how we make this big push for velo and why arm injuries are up so much because we're redlining all the time. If you redline your car the whole time, what's going to happen to your engine? You're going to blow that engine. So what I've learned is really learn how to work my gas pedal. Like I'll rev it up, I'll go, but then I'll coast for a little while. And so it's a like essentially a gas pedal mindset is like, I'm not redlining all the time. It's just picking when to go, picking when to let off the gas, and like really learning and being in tune with myself.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense, and trying to kind of pace yourself maybe a little bit. And speaking of that, uh, how are you planning on trying to stay healthy this year? Because that's a big part of not just the JUCO season for some of the younger guys, but you especially. Do you have a plan going into this season on how you're gonna try and stay healthy and stay fresh throughout the year?
Um, Eat better for one. Really like focus on good hydration. I have stage 4 kidney disease. So that's something that I really have to be aware of. I gotta be able to get out of the way of these pitches. A fastball to the kidney could be pretty bad for me. Um, so my plan is like I try to be very I work a lot of like cognitive hand-eye coordination drills just to make sure my brain and body are pretty in sync, like just a lot of things so where I can react quickly. Because as you get older, obviously that fades too. So I do that. I work on flexibility. Um, so a lot of just cognitive skills, keeping my brain sharp, flexibility. I don't like being cold, but ice baths are instrumental to my recovery. I do the sauna thing. Um, but the harsh reality of my situation is, um, I probably, knock on wood, will not get hurt to where like the pulled muscle or anything like that. It'll be more so, will pneumonia creep up again? I get that quite a bit. Whatever sickness is going around at the time, my immune system's very suppressed because of the meds I'm on because my body's constantly trying to fight my liver. So I have to take medicine to suppress my immune system. So I have to keep myself clean. I wash my hands a lot. I stay with hand sanitizer. I'm not going to shake a lot of hands. It's going to be a lot of fist bumps. If someone's sick, I'm going to make sure I'm not be around them as much. It's just really being conscious of how weak my immune system is and navigating that way. So if I'm out, if I slide and I get cut, it's not, I can't be that guy. Wrap me up, I'm ready to go back in. Like that needs to be addressed right away because an infection will kill me. But at the same time, it's high risk, but I mean, everything in life that's worth having is hard and it's worth the risk. I wouldn't be me if I didn't challenge myself and face these things. I can't, my doctors aren't a big fan of what I'm doing, but I just tell them, guys, I can't live my life in fear. I choose faith over fear. So I'm going to go and I'm going to push myself, but I always will be cautious and aware of, I know I'm not young. I know I'm immune suppressed. So I'm just very, just more so self-awareness. I mean, long story short, is like I'm very self-aware of what I'm capable of and what I need to be cautious of.
Awesome. And lastly, before we wrap up, uh, you know what? I'm gonna go back to that eating thing because you mentioned eating good twice. Okay, Aaron, I'm gonna ask you before I wrap up, what is the meal that you go to? Like, what is your go-to meal? Like, if you were to pick any meal that you would have, like right now, if let's say you're super hungry, you got a
Okay.
game tomorrow, what are you just chowing down on?
I'm a steak and potato guy, but my
Nice.
bank account's not always a big fan of that. We have a really good barbecue spot up the road. So I work their deals. I know them all. Mondays are closed. Tuesday, half price full rack of ribs. Wednesday, half price, half barbecue chicken or prime rib. Thursdays are their burger night. Friday, I don't ever go there on Fridays, but I believe it's brisket and something else. I'm a carnivore. Give me all the meat. Give me some potatoes. I try to incorporate fruit in the morning. Not big on veggies, but I try to get some in. But give me the meat. I'll take it all day long. It does, no matter how you slice it. That's what I want. Usually something barbecue or something on the grill.
So when does the team go into this barbecue spot? When are you taking the guys?
See they're about an hour away. That's it for the commute. I've
Uh-huh.
taken some. I mentor a lot of kids at the other community college by me, Cecil College. I take them often. But I tell like so my plan is in the summertime, like I have a pretty big backyard. So I invite every kid that comes in my program, every kid that I've mentored, really any person in this world. I'll do big barbecues out back, and like that's my favorite spot. Like put me on the grill, and then usually my girlfriend Allie, who's absolutely incredible, takes over the grill because I'm out playing wiffle ball or I'm chasing a football around. Like I'm out playing when I should be cooking, but she's phenomenal. So ideally, like I can't afford to take them to Old South because it'll get pricey pretty quick because those boys can eat. But burgers, hot dogs, and whatever, like some barbecue chicken at the house on the grill. That'll be us about 3 times a week, all summer long. Just me, 5 to 10 college boys, whoever's willing to show up. I'll put it right on my Facebook wall. Wiffle ball, water slide, barbecue at the house. All are welcome. You know, just show up. There's no expectation or requirements when you do something with me. I really try to focus on relieving everybody's stress, put it on me because I know I can handle it. I just want people to be able to show up, relax, and have a good time. And it mostly stems from I just see so many people struggling and worried about everything. I will give you the shirt off my back and the last dollar in my pocket because I know I'll get another dollar. I know I'll get another shirt. And I just wish people believed in themselves and had as much faith in that as I do because I don't need anything besides good people around me, and I will supply the good times for everyone at any cost. I just want people to be happy and really just to be able to relax, man. How many like you could probably think about it yourself. Like how many times do you really just get to relax without including any other substance to do so? Um, Not, like I don't drink obviously, but I do partake in edibles. They help me sleep, but I've also learned to not rely on them at all. Like I don't do them at all anymore, and I really try to get people to just like instead of diagnosing everything, let's deal with it. Like we have a lot of real tough conversations, and as the night dwindles on, like someone's going to be leaving in tears, but it's not tears of sadness. It's like breakthroughs, man. Like they get so much more in tune with themselves, and I just really feel like God uses me as a vessel to share His message, and like that's so like I get people in my element, and then we sit down and I'll ask questions that gets them to open up, and before you know it, I'm hearing things about like I just know so much about so many people that they're like, can you please not tell anyone? Like I never would. I like to think of myself almost like a street therapist. And because it's just you make people feel safe, and it's because I just love them all. Like I literally love every human being. There's no hate in my heart.
Aaron, I mean, you're such an inspiration, man. I'm glad that I was able to track you down, and I'm glad that you were able to take some time out of your day and come on this podcast. And hopefully all the listeners out there and all the viewers out there are listen to this and got a chance to get to know you, get to know your story, and you definitely have fans in all of us. So thanks for coming
That
on, man. I appreciate it,
really means the
and this
world.
was a blast.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, you got my number now. You ever feel like you just want to fly to Maryland if you need help with the flight? I'm not rich by any means, but like I said, if I got $50, it's your $50. Let's get you to one of these barbecues.
Hey, man, you don't need to give me any money. All I need is that burgers and the hot dogs on the grill. Like that is all I would be required to
Oh, we got
hey,
that all day long. It's the Maryland
perfect.
summers can be humid, but we got a water slide too that's adult friendly. It's about 16 foot tall. We have a ball, so it's truly incredible. Like I wish everyone who like I've been on a few things now. I wish everyone could come experience, pops culture and how we do things in real life because it's really there's nothing like what we do in this world. It's one of the most like we have kids that play the cello, violin, basketball, like everybody's welcome and they get along. Like, and that's really like I just want to bring everybody together. Like we're the United States for a reason. Like let's get linked back up again and like let's do it in my backyard.
I love it. Let's do it in Aaron Rousselle's backyard, and I'll be there. And hey, I'll be there with my Rawlings sweatshirt on. How about that, man?
Hey, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Thank you again, Aaron. I appreciate it. Where can people find you? Where can people follow your journey? Do you want to plug yourself?
I'm learning how to use X a little more. Seems like the way to just best connect. It's Coach Aaron R. Same on Instagram, and I think we still get TikTok for a little bit longer.
Yep.
And, like Facebook's where I post like the most like stories, I guess, a lot about me because it's a little you can elongate a little more. So if you just search Aaron Roussel on Facebook, you'll find me. But yeah, Coach Aaron R is like the most like I'm trying to get better. But yeah, I've a simple Google search. There's not a lot of Aaron Roussels. I think the only other one is my son below me and downstairs, probably eating all my snacks. So yeah, so hey, by all means, add me. I follow back because like I've had so many people say, I can't believe you answered me. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm no different than any of you guys. Like, I'm not famous. I'm not cool. I'm just a dude with a cool story, I guess. And I'll talk to anyone as long as you're not being disrespectful or negative or rude. I got time for you.
Awesome. And again, we'll be rooting for you. This is a really awesome story. I'm glad you could hop on. And everybody could go ahead and check out the podcast on X and Instagram at RizzoCast. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Go check us out. More episodes of RizzoCast coming up soon. And see you next time.